Hey guys, Sebastian here again. So today we're going to be breaking down the the best game of Alexandra Botez. So without further ado, let's quit the silly dialing and let's get into the video. The game begins with e4 and c5. c5 known as Sicilian defense, knight to c3. This is known for more closed positions, known as a closed Sicilian. Generally, it's a small bit more passive. Here we get knight to c6 and g3. It's known as the fianchetto variation, going for bishop to g2, possibly knight e2 or knight f3 and short castles. Here we get the move g6. g6 going for bishop to g7. Here we get bishop to g2 and d6. d6, nice idea, going for e4 and going for maybe the stonewall setup. d3, bishop to g7. Bishop to e3 and e5. As I said, this is going under, into this kind of setup that I already said it probably would go into, like this. Actually, it's kind of similar to a bird's pawn structure. Go watch that video, by the way, if you guys haven't. It's under my opening videos catalog. It's actually pretty good. Despite the fact it was made back when I recorded with Vimeo. Shameless plug out the way, though. The move here was f4. f4 trying to deflect this pawn from the center and get his bishop developed. Here we get knight g7, saying, you can take this pawn, I'll just replace it with my knight. I'm fine here. So knight to f3, putting more pressure on the center. He's asking, am I putting enough pressure yet? She short castles, says no. I'm alright. Queen d2. And move f5 was played here. Same idea as him, just instead with trying to get your knight here instead. Here you get the move h4, going for h5. So how do you prevent h5? Well, that's simple, going to play h5 yourself, which was playing the game, but I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to guess the move that was played here. Okay. Now if here you guess the move knight to g5, you would be correct. Knight to d4. As I said, this is an idea, trying to get his knight in the center of the board. Knight to d1, this is a move with two ideas. One, to reroute the knight to f2, and two, to play c3. Rook to b8, c3, one of the ideas, attacking this. Knight to e6, I'm going to ask, is it a good move to take? There you go. Is it a good idea to take this? Alright, if you guys said no, you'd be correct. The move bishop f3 was played here. The reason why taking wasn't very good is because if knight takes, bishop takes, short castles, and b5 would be way too strong here. Just way too strong. So bishop to f3 was played. Now here we get e takes f4, g takes f4, because if bishop takes f4, my knight takes, your pawn takes, and I take this, you take this, and it's just really complicated here. So instead we got bishop to f3, f takes e4, g takes f4, and knight takes g5, knight takes g5, and some people may say, well, there's kind of weaknesses down the h file, queen to h2. Well, how are you going to get, how are you going to break into here? You're going to sacrifice your bishop? You're going to do that? I don't think that will work. If you give, black a few moves, let's look at b5. But let's look at queen h2 really fast. She has really nothing to worry about. Seriously. I mean, you can just play rook to e8, and if you try sacking your bishop, this is playable. This is very much playable. Yeah, it's playable. So this, b4, and the move queen to e2 was played. After queen to e2, we get queen to e8, just playing this more slow, probably going for a reroute like this. Or just going for maybe something like this, or just something along these lines. There's definitely a reason to this move. It's not like your guys' queen moves or some of my queen moves, where it's just to pass the move over to your opponent. Knight to f2. Finally, this idea was played. And bishop to b7. Activating it down this diagonal. Rook to h4. Great idea, by the way, trying to step off of this diagonal. c4. Trying to rip apart the pawn structure. You get 8, bishop takes a7, and rook to a8. After bishop to d4, c takes d3, knight takes d3, and bishop takes d4. After c takes d4, you're like, wait, all 3 pawns are in the center. Seriously? Yeah, just take. And after bishop takes h5, sorry. And you can't take like that, so we get bishop takes h5. Queen takes d3, queen to e6, check, king here. Now, the power of these moves is showing. And here, you have to be very careful, because I have this idea. Let's look, bishop to g4. And bishop to d5. Just attacking your queen. You can play your queen here. I'm going to trade, and I'm going to put my knight onto f5, attacking your rook. What are you going to do? Oh, you're going to trade more and just give me an activated rook? Thank you. And you know what? I'm going to take this pawn too. It's defended. I might as well. So we get this trade. King takes d3. And just check. King to e3. Now this is a nice idea. Going to put you in check. Ooh. That's sad. King to d2 here. Rook to e8. King to c3. Trying to play a little bit aggressive, but check. King c2. b4. f5. Trying to lash out. But Alexandra calls the bluff. She takes d5. Nice idea. Attacking this. You can't take because this. So knight to e4. So rook to e4, and he missed it. He missed that idea. Rook to h6. I take, you take. I play my bishop here. You play your rook there. Here, I'm threatening this. So what do? You play here. You attack this pawn, and I put you in check. And in this position, Alexandra Botez won the game because of her opponent resigning. And the exact reason was because if king to d3, we just get rook takes g5. And if we go back to b3 and you play here, I can just put you in check. King to d2, put you in check again. If you play here, check. King here. I don't play check. I take on b2. I'm up a rook and multiple pieces. So I'm up a bishop and a pawn. And I'm just going to march this down here and I'm fine. So without further ado, you should go do something productive with the rest of your day. Bye.